Oh boy, everybody's hair's on fire. Oh, you would think, but what happened? National state secrets were put out on Signal. A whole lot of the campaign to take Trump down. He doesn't get a 100-day honeymoon. No. The deep state gets involved with their Signal, hands the guy's devices. Michael Waltz. They want to scalp. The left wants to take down Michael Waltz, wants to take down the director of the CIA. They're looking to do a Mike Flynn. I'm going to explain in this show right now how the judicial jihad is working over here with the district judges. Now they're going to try to come in and make Trump look like he's out of control and he needs supervision for his team. And you know what I love? Trump just killed it all with one statement. 5 minutes ago, I picked up the phone as I'm talking to you. He says, all right, the guy's doing the best he can. Guess he won't be using that Signal app for a while. Boom. Only Trump can do something like that. And folks, there's something about the era we're in that you've got to grab hold of. The American economy is in a challenge, and it's going to continue to get worse. There's a reason why. I keep asking my staff, I say, what is gold doing? Gold went from $1,900 in the last 3 years to $3,000 an ounce. You know, I could kick myself sometimes. I do these shows, and I'm thinking, why am I telling all of you what to do? And I got to be doing it myself. Gold has risen 60%. So let me just say, I think this gold, I'm not a financial analyst, but I'm going to tell you, if it's gone up 60% in 3 years, everybody's buying gold for a reason. The $36 trillion debt and the way the left is trying to take down Trump, there's instability. Banks are buying gold at record levels. I think central banks just bought over 1,000 tons for the third straight year. What do they know? I'm going to encourage you, take your IRA and you roll it over into one of these tax these tax accounts that you got and put it into gold. You'll be smart because there's a precious metals IRA with no penalties. All right, so this is what I've got. You can get up to $20,000 in precious metals. This is just released right now for free with your purchase. Up to $20,000 in precious metals for free with your purchase. I'm encouraging you to go to lancewallnau.com/gold, talk to their experts, find out what's happening. You'll be glad you did. And let's get into today's dumpster fire in Washington, where the media is trying to make a big storm out of a little thing. But I'll explain to you what's really going on. It's always a joy to be back with you on the Lance Wallnau Show. Now, I want to address right away the hair on fire news cycle that is everywhere playing regarding the leaking intelligence conversation that took place with the Vice President, Pete Hegseth. Let's take a look at some of the comments, first of all, and see what this horrendous leak of a private conversation to, by the way, who got a hold of this? The Atlantic Journal, Jeffrey Goldberg, which is the equivalent of having like a right-wing watch or something put into a chat thread with me and my staff. I mean, so somebody in the intelligence community set this up. Somebody put this in. And nobody's talking about that. How in the world do you get a raging leftist who was used in the first Trump administration to leak fake stories? How do you get him into a private chat that's on, what was it, Telegram? Hi, Mercedes. Signal. You're joining me today. It's Signal.
Happy to be here, Lance.
That's right, Signal. All, by the way, after 9/11, after January 6th, I would say 100 of my friends we're not going to talk anymore on chat threads. They didn't want to do texting. That was how paranoid they were of the government. Everybody was going to Signal. I didn't go there because I didn't feel that I didn't feel the same sense of anxiety that a lot of other people felt. And I knew that the January 6th story would eventually get out, as it is getting out now, that it wasn't what the government said it was. And so let me talk about what's happening now. Remember, in Trump's first administration, they took down General Michael Flynn. The intelligence community, Peter Strzok and Comey bragging about it. Oh, I thought it was a pretty cool idea. Go over and set the guy up. And Peter Strzok, hey, how you doing? Just want to ask you, blah, blah, blah. And then they set him up in a perjury moment where he denied meeting with a Russian when he actually did meet with a Russian. And Trump, being new to the Hollywood of Washington, said, well, if he did an impropriety, my administration is going to be above board. And so he thought that by giving them a scalp that it would show that he's going to tighten up his operation and be above board. But then he got General Mike Kelly, who was working against him. I mean, all over the place he had deep staters and Republican rhinos staffed around him, leaking and playing both sides of the fence, and General Milley talking to the Chinese generals. If this guy does anything, I'm going to warn you ahead of time. It was an idiotic circus of how the left has embedded themselves in, let's just say, the deep state works with both parties, you'll find out. And why am I kind of rambling about this? Because what I want you to see is this is the same game plan. They want Pete Hegseth, they want Mike Waltz, they want a scalp to put up on the wall to start the narrative that Trump needs to have oversight. Trump's team needs to be investigated. They're just not to be trusted. Let me see. What were you guys bring up on the screen here? Image 12. I'll read them to you, those of you that are listening on the podcast. Pete Hegseth is saying to J.D. Vance, well, if you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing Europe out again. Let's just make sure our messaging is tight here, and if there are things we can do up front to minimize risk to Saudi oil fields, we should take it. Vice President Vance, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic, capital pathetic. He writes like Trump. But Mike is correct. We're the only ones on the planet, on our side of the ledger, who can do this. Nobody else is even close. The question is timing. I feel like now it's a good time as any. Given POTUS, President of the United States, directive to reopen shipping lanes, I think we should go. But POTUS still retains 24 hours of decision space, which is a polite way of saying, the boss has a window. If he doesn't want to do it, we're working with him. Trump is setting policy. And then SM, I don't know who SM is. It's another person. As I heard it, the president was clear, green light, but we soon make clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement. E.g., who's another person in the chat thread, if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? If the U.S. successfully restores freedom of navigation at great costs, there needs to be some further economic gain extracted. They're all thinking like Trump. We're not going to be the world's savior. No one else can do what America does, but we're not going to do it always alone at our own expense. There's nothing in here that actually constitutes what I would say is a major breach. And it says in nuclear codes, we're going to strike Yemen in the following places. This wasn't going on. They're talking about the general philosophy of making sure the sea lanes that the Houthis have been attacking are open for commerce because Trump wants the world's business flowing for good reason. Economic stability is good for his administration. So the question is this really an incident that demands immediate 24-hour on-the-Hill accountability for the dangerous breach of security? Who put the goofball anti-patriot, anti-American Jeffrey Goldberg into the conversation? You're dealing with the intelligence community. Dare I say at the same time we're all looking at the Kennedy files and wondering what the role of the intelligence community was in the assassination of Kennedy. We suspect there could be something. We are already exposed for turning over governments around the world. Well, if you ever thought we never did it, now you know we do. The Jason Bourne moment there with Treadstone, where you got some guys sitting there in front of a Senate committee doing some clandestine operation and can't wait to get it out of their scrutiny because of the nonsense they're doing. That's pretty true. That's the way the intelligence community works. Now they're returning their gun sights on Trump. They want to take out one of these guys. They want to put a scalp on the wall. And you know what? It's called the Nullification Project. They've got two tracks. One is going to be create the narrative that Trump's leadership team needs to have turnover and create instability, or even better, get them turning against each other. Have the CIA guy turn against Pete Hegseth, and somebody, save their scalps, which won't go over with Trump at all. And they want to have division on Trump's team. They want to nullify the project. And then their other flank that they're moving in is judicial activism. They've got 4 low-level district judges who are all acting like Supreme Court magistrates, that they have the power. Now, mind you, there's 700 of them in 900 districts. They're in terms of 3 levels. There's circuit courts, the Supreme Court, and underneath all of that is a district court. But these district court activists, the same ones that were coming against Trump to lock him up for 400 years, they got a whole breed, a whole farm of these activist courts that will leap up and stop the Department of Defense trying to block transgenders from being in the military, or removing dangerous criminals that have come in illegally to the United States and taking them out of the country, or blah, blah, blah. Or the U.S. aid, $2 billion worth of funding, which never should have been paid, was still paid even after we exposed the financial incompetence and indeed the criminality of the way U.S. aid was being done. An activist judge at a district level was able to, so they've got judicial coup. They're going to freeze the administration. Now, they know they might not win at the Supreme Court. Doesn't matter. They're going to seize the engine of Trump's progress. At every point where he has an executive order, boom, they're going to come out with a counter order. And in essence, the district courts are going to challenge Trump's power to be president at every level. So you see the concert. It's the activist judges coming up on this flank, and now try to find some leak to media that exposes that on a Signal account we have confidential conversations going on that should never be seen. And what do you got? You have a news cycle. That's all you got. Don't make it more than it is. And the proper way to respond to this, in my opinion, is nothing here was super classified conversation, nothing here that endangers our operation, and we're going to have to be a lot more careful on how we communicate, simply because all these government phones that are handed to you with your, are preloaded. Somebody, in my opinion, embedded this guy in the chat. This is the intelligence community, folks. What did Schumer say? Oh, they got 100 ways from Sunday that they can get you. Well, this is one of the 100 ways they can get you. Now, what's embarrassing is Egypt and the Saudis are realizing, well, they're protecting our oil fields. By the way, meanwhile, in other news, Saudi Arabia just put $2 trillion or $1.5 trillion into the United States economy. Now you know why. Because we're protecting their whole economic empire militarily. You see how the pieces all start to connect? But I mean, this whole idea about protecting the sea lanes, and Europe better start contributing something, since this is really, it's to their benefit that the shipping lanes are open. They didn't do anything. The Royal Navy didn't do anything. It's the U.S. again that does it. And that if Trump successfully restores freedom of navigation at great cost, there needs to be some further economic gain. Well, they're all thinking like entrepreneurs now. If we're going to do this for the nations better kick in something for the expense of what we're doing. See what I'm saying? There's nothing here that constitutes what I would say is a major breach. And what, I'm sorry to say it, what a jerky thing for the Atlantic liberal progressive Marxists, hate Trump, hate you, Jeffrey Goldberg, to sneak into the chat, watch it all, screenshot it, and then publish it in order to have a gotcha moment. How creepy is that? Well, that's just what it is, folks, and that's what it is. So I'll give you more information on this as we go along, and the reality is, they're trying to have a Mike Flynn moment. They're trying to use the intelligence community to take out a Mike Waltz or a Pete Hegseth. And by the way, why would they do that? Well, apart from freezing Trump's agenda, they like wars. They like what they were doing. And they don't like coming out of Ukraine. And they don't like, peace in the Middle East. Because that, to some of them, I hate to say this, but they actually make a living off of controversies. So there's people that are their financial interest, especially with Doge. Did you hear Elon Musk? We should get that clip up here, where Elon Musk said to Joe Rogan, honestly, I think I got to be careful how far I go because they'll kill me. And I mean that. Yeah. They'll kill me. Wow. We'll be back in a second.
We're entering a period of time that has increased hostility against people of faith. It's a time when Christians are going to be tested on a moral, physical, psychological, and even a financial basis. I'm here to remind you that God is the one who has blessed you thus far, and He will take care of you in the future. You have a divine responsibility, however, to see trouble and prepare yourself. For example, with record inflation eating away at the value of the U.S. dollar, the savings in your retirement account is in danger of slipping away. I recommend diversifying your 401k or IRA out of paper assets and into physical gold. And the best way to do that is with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. Now that includes no penalties, there's no taxes when you transfer current retirement funds into Birch Gold. To see how it works, I want you to go to lancewallnau.com/Birch and get your free info kit, and you'll be glad that you did.
So welcome back again. You know, Washington's loaded with lawyers. And so when you have these hearings, you've got a prosecutor. And they're trying desperately to make the case in front of that camera that you're responsible. And they set up the trap. Would you say that this is a serious problem, a big problem? And then, of course, if you say yes, aha, the CIA director agrees, headlines, it's a big problem. So he can't say that. It's a game. Really wish we didn't play games with our country, but that's the way it's set up. So John Ratcliffe is going to, of course, say, not a big problem. Well, we're going to get the whole transcript. We're going to get the entire thing. We're going to go over it with a fine-tooth comb, and then we're going to find one statement that actually is a breach of security, and then we're going to come back and talk to you and make you own that statement. You know what really bothers me? How 4 district judges have frozen and paralyzed this office of the United States. How it is that Hillary Clinton could have smashed her phones and bleached her records, and there was no hearing like this. There was no cross-examination with outraged senators. You know why? If you got too much power in Washington, nobody comes against you. This is all like a gladiator contest to take Trump down. Charlie Kirk, I haven't heard what Charlie said. Well, let's go find out.
How Jeffrey Goldberg got added is likely because Mike Waltz wanted to add the U.S. Trade Representative, Jamison Greer, and had the same initials. Now, allow me to editorialize for a second. I know Mike Waltz. We disagree on a lot of foreign policy stuff. There's a serious question as to why Mike Waltz has Jeffrey Goldberg as a saved signal contact. It's a very serious question. He's the editor-in-chief of a Trump-hating magazine. You are a national security advisor. You've obviously been dialoguing or talking to him previously. Is Michael Waltz leaking to Jeffrey Goldberg? I certainly hope not. We know Jeffrey Goldberg has pushed some of the greatest anti-Trump BS in years past. This is not a friendly or a remotely friendly reporter. This is a major screw-up. There is no other way to put it.
Well, Charlie's right. He raises an interesting question. As I said earlier, how did this guy end up in the chat thread? If it was a Michael Waltz mistake, well, it certainly is unfolding to the embarrassment of a whole bunch of the, but you know, Mercedes, yep. Go ahead and make the comment now on why would they be having this conversation on Signal? What is your question?
Well, no, I was just, I mean, we played a clip. Sometimes we take a break and we play clips and we banter off camera. But I do think it's interesting because we played the clip of the Senate and he said, this is a big mistake. This is a big mistake. Are you going to own that as a big mistake? And he's like, I don't think it should be characterized as a big mistake. But I think the public persuasion element of it, Lance, though, is that I kind of do think it's a big mistake. I think that if it was the Democrats that did it, I think that the middle, right? Not the far left, far right, but the middle would say, this is a big mistake. Like, somebody's got to own this. But to me, like, the biggest mistake is why the heck is the federal government using Signal, a private company app, as their means of secure communication? This is a United States government, and we're using Signal to talk about our war plans? Like, that is the thing. I would have hoped that we had something far better than that.
Well, it might be. I hate to say it, but it might be.
I mean, the nuclear code's going out on that thing, too? Like, what is happening?
Well, no, but I think there might be an answer to that, and the answer might be disturbing. It might be that the government that you can't trust the government app. That for this very reason, that the government app can have eyes that can pry in. It has intelligence hacking ability.
Possibly.
So they may be going to Signal because for the same reason, we go to the private sector for X, or for Musk, because the private sector has systems that are outside of the government control. And therefore, if you don't have an idiot listening to your chat, there's no one else who's going to be able to secure it or acquire it.
I mean, that's a hypothesis. It's a possibility, sure. It's
all right. Well, here's the point. Is it what it appears to be? The left is like the George Floyd riots. Until you find out more facts later about Floyd's condition or about the BLM budget, and then then you find out from Molly Ball that they have these paid activists ready to riot around the country. You think it's a spontaneous, earthy expression of American sentiment. Then you find out it's an orchestrated, manipulated theater. By the way, I think during their hearing today, Code Pink jumped up and interrupted the proceedings and was yelling some, weird, about wars or I don't know, who knows, whatever Code Pink wants to do. But their activists are in the hearings disrupting it. The left is a lawless force. You see what they're doing with Elon Musk's stock. They will destroy him. Just like they tried to bankrupt Trump and they tried to lock him up. Why is there no hearing on the Hill regarding the Tesla attacks? Why is there no hearing on the Hill about the district judges? Why is it that the left has the power, even when they're not in power, to convene committees that are going to discuss these serious breaches, et cetera? Well, I just got done telling you that what's not being covered is that Trump is working overtime on U.S. investment. Go to image 1. I said the Saudi Arabians, according to Pete, were going to protect their oil fields, and there it is. The Saudi Arabia is putting $600 billion into U.S. investment. United Arab Emirates, $1.4 trillion. Hyundai, $20 billion. Is that how you pronounce it? Hyundai. Apple, $500 billion. Oracle.
Hyundai? You mean Hyundai?
Hyundai.
Hyundai.
Hyundai is Hyundai.
Oh, it's Hyundai.
Chipotle.
Chipotle. Velocity.
NVIDIA, $100 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion. Taiwan Semiconductor, $100 billion. So what you're seeing here is investment into the United States, which is all designed by Trump to create accelerating. He's trying desperately to accelerate our GDP so that he can get in front of the impact of the tariffs. Now, what are tariffs? Simply put, tariffs is just it's called a PIB fee. It's what we used to use in social media. I remember one time a guy was charging me $50 for something on a social media account I had. I said, what's that? He called it a PIB fee. What's that mean? He says, it's a pain in the butt. I go, what's that? He goes, it's just a fee we charge to increase revenue. A tariff is a pain in the butt fee. It's saying, oh, we're going to like tax 25% additional on your imports of this. And so in some weird way, these countries will put a tariff upon what America's selling, but we're accepting their product into our country, but we're hurting our own competition because they're able to put a pain in the butt fee that reduces the amount of sales of our automobiles in Europe. Meanwhile, we're taking in their European cars. Trump says this whole old boys club that was set up for the investment class to be able to make money off of their stock or their companies. It's not working for the middle America. It's not working for the average America. We're killing our manufacturing. We're no longer making stuff. And the trade wars is causing, the cash flow is going there for certain people, but the average American's wages are going down and their job stability. I'm bringing back made in America. I want companies making in America, and I'm going to bring the pain in the butt fee to parity. Whatever you're charging us, I'm charging you. How's that feel? 25% on our automobiles? Here's 25% on yours. Well, you can't do that. Why not? So Trump is right now, he's declared April 2nd as Liberation Day. Let's go to video 3.
Yeah, please.
The size of the investment, partly because of tariffs. On April 2nd, the reciprocal tariffs will go into effect. Is it truly reciprocal? Are there some countries that might get a break or some sectors that might get a break?
Well, I may give a lot of countries breaks, but it's reciprocal, but we might be even nicer than that. We've been very nice to a lot of countries for a long time, But I call it Liberation Day. April 2nd is Liberation Day. But today, as you know, we did something with respect to Venezuela. You heard about that. And that will be quite important. We'll be announcing some additional tariffs over the next few days, having to do with automobiles, cars, and having also to do a little bit with lumber down the road, lumber and chips. We're going to get all those chip companies coming back. They're already coming back without even doing it. So it's been very good. But we'll be announcing some others. But for the most part, April 2nd will be a big day. That'll be Reciprocal Day. And we'll be bringing some of the money back that's been taken from us. Let's be nice by using the word taken. I don't want to use a stronger word because these guys are professional politicians, and they don't like to hear those words.
Yeah, well, yeah, Trump's a little bit salty behind the scenes, I imagine. Let's read the Truth. So I haven't read this yet. Truth Social. Mercedes, will you please read for our podcast audience that can't see? Read for us Donald Trump's statement regarding his announcing tariffs on Venezuela.
President Donald J. Trump announced today that the United States of America will be putting what is known as a secondary tariff on the country of Venezuela for numerous reasons, including the fact that Venezuela has purposefully and deceitfully sent to the United States undercover tens of thousands of high-level and other criminals, many of whom are murderers and people of a very violent nature. Among the gangs they sent to the United States is Tren de Aragua?
Tren de Aragua.
Oh, I got that right. Which has been given the designation of foreign terrorist organization. We're in the process of returning them to Venezuela. It is a big task. In addition, Venezuela has been very hostile to the United States and the freedoms which we espouse. Therefore, any country that purchases oil and or gas from Venezuela will be forced to pay a tariff of 25% to the United States on any trade they do with our country. All documentation will be signed and registered, and the tariff will take place on April 2nd, 2025, Liberation Day in America. Please let this notification serve to represent the Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, and all other law enforcement agencies within our country have been so notified. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
All right, so Mercedes, what I'd like you to do is go to your ever-present ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, and tell me, who are the primary oil partners with Venezuela? Trump is sending a message, perhaps to Russia and China, that if you guys want to work with me, I'm announcing, I'm not mentioning names, I know who you are, 25%. And now they're all having to rethink, do they want to buy Venezuela crude? Hey, guys, we're connecting the dots for you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. That means I'm out of time. Can you believe it? Mercedes, we got to wait till tomorrow. We'll all be living in great suspense. Remember the question that we're hanging in the air right now. Donald Trump is playing three-dimensional chess, and we are prophetically discerning and divining exactly what he's saying. When he says that 25% tariffs on everybody that is going to be buying oil from Venezuela, you know he is sending a message to certain countries. Now, I've already said my guess is Russia and China are among them. We're going to find out who the countries are tomorrow at the opening of the show, because Mercedes is pursuing it with ChatGPT, her artificial intelligent friend, who she talks to on a regular basis. You know, it is weird, your relationship with Chat.
Why?
He said, I'm talking with Chat. It's like...
That's so funny.
It's like a person.
I do the voice to text too, and it's like, it comes through as Chad. And then the other day, it's like, hey, you're calling me Chad. I kind of like it. It's a mysterious alter ego. I was like, listen, sorry, Chad. Talk to text doesn't get your name right. So...
All right, so
really
we'll do it tomorrow. I want to cover this first thing tomorrow, so don't miss us. Be here in the same bat station tomorrow. Catch you later. Bye-bye.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world